hi, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast, Why Are You Sober? I'm Sam, the host and a sober addict, and as always, I'm really glad that everybody's here. So Why Are You Sober is a podcast where sober addicts can come on to share their stories about their addiction, where they've been, where it brought them, how they got sober, and then why they continue to stay sober today. If you are a sober addict and would like to come on and tell your story, I would love that. As I was just reminded of this week, there's a wonderful quote by Brene Brown that basically says, once we tell our story, we don't know whose survival guide that story is going to become. So I encourage you to come on and tell your story, because you never know who's out there listening and who's will be blessed by what you have to say. And if you are maybe somebody who is struggling, maybe somebody who's out there and really questioning if they want to get sober or what it's all about, I would love for you to contact me. You can get in touch with me at my website, which is whyareyoussober.org, or you can email me at sam@whyareyoussober.org. So last week, we had my wonderful friend Katie on, and she is just a light, and has been such a fun delight to have in my life. And as I said, her story is pretty unique. You know, she didn't get sober the typical way. And as we always say, there's not one road to sobriety. There are many roads, and there are many ways of doing it. And getting a counselor, having a sober coach is definitely a great way to do it. You know, AA was great for me, but group meetings and stuff like that is not for everybody. And I recognize that. So I really enjoyed that Katie came on and shared her story. And I just felt very honored that she did that with me. So this week, we have my friend Allison on to tell her story. Allison and I go back to my very first meeting, and she was one of the first people that became a dear friend of mine from that meeting house and from those groups. So I'm really excited and really blessed and pleased that she came on to do this. So let's just go to the serenity prayer. Good and gracious friend, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Well, thank you for doing this. How are you?
Of course. I'm doing pretty well. Dealing with my toddler, of course, but she's amazing. She's very smart. And I know that every parent says that, but she truly is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's a lot of fun.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Other than that, working at home.
You still get to do that?
Yeah. Thankfully, my team actually was merged into one from Ohio, so I don't have to work in an office again for the foreseeable future.
That's incredible.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. So basically what I've been telling everybody is that I'm going to be looking to start this in January. And so I'm basically building up a library of interviews that I can start putting out there. And, I'm just looking to get a collection of different addict stories that we can have out there for people to reference or get some experience, strength, and hope from. So
I love it. I'm so proud of you for doing this. Very happy to be a part of it.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being a part of it. I'm really, 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 really glad that you're here. So, Allison, if you could start with, what is your addiction?
My addiction is to alcohol.
And when do you feel like that started in your life?
When did it start? I was never a drinker in high school. I specifically remember one party where I had alcohol and drank just like a teenage girl would, like Malibu coconut rum and like Smirnoff Ice or something.
Yeah.
Of course, got sick, and I'm like, I'm never doing that again. Then I went to college and, of course, did that again. We started attending parties freshman year when I was 18. I don't think anything was out of control at that point yet. I say that after drinking for like a whole year. At first it was normal college partying. And then it slowly became, hey, somebody come over tonight so we can party and I can drink. And then I went through a breakup, um, and I just let it consume me.
Mm.
I started drinking my feelings. I started drinking at problems. I gave up a lot of responsibilities and was able to just live in this like party life all the time. You work in a restaurant during the day, party every other second.
Hmm.
Um, so that was when I was about 21, 22. And at 22, I got a DUI. Um,
Mm. Now,
yeah,
had you graduated college at that point?
no, no, I
Okay.
hadn't. I was on a hiatus,
Okay.
mostly due to this stuff. Um, yeah, I got the DUI when I was 22, so December 2012. And I remember that I did not drink for a whole day because the day after was Halloween. And of course, that's my favorite, so I wasn't going to skip out on that. Um, so that was the extent of the lesson learned,
Wow.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took quite a while. I did go back and I was able to finish college. I got back into the relationship that I had broken up with before, my now husband. Um, and he encouraged me to kind of get some stuff together. I got some stuff together, but I was still drinking
Mm.
a lot. And toward the end, so I would say 2015, 2014, around there, it got pretty bad.
Mm.
um, where I was like, oh, it's so much fun. Let's drink in the morning. Or having a great time. I want to celebrate with this. There was no event or activity that was without alcohol. Like I would skip activities that did not involve them. Or if I could, I would sneak it in. Um, you know,
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, I'm like, girl, what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Didn't seem so bad then, but now it does. And then really it would be March 31st, 2016, I, like many other occasions, got drunk on my break at work in the restaurant. And I came back, took it a little too far. There were parts where I blacked out on
Mm.
the job.
Mm.
And they sent me home naturally, as they should have. And I remember thinking like, ooh, that was a bit much. Probably shouldn't do that again. And going in the next day and they're like, hey, let's have a talk.
Yeah.
And I'd already seen that I was not on the floor that night or scheduled. So I'm like, oh shit. um, and two of the managers took me back into the little dining room area and they said, you know, what was going on yesterday? Um, I looking back at your file, I see this has happened before.
Mm.
Obviously it had. And they said, we're going to have to let you go, Allie. And I remember welling up in tears, asking if it was an April Fool's joke, because that was April 1st, knowing, of course, it was not. Um, and then driving home, calling my dad, weeping, saying that I lost my job. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I could quit drinking. And what he said to me, I'll always remember. He's like, you're going to look back on this moment and be so thankful. And he was absolutely right.
Mm.
Um, so went home, blacked out again, and then woke up and have not had a drink since. Um,
Now, up until that point, how had this been affecting your family and your now husband, but like a boyfriend at the time?
yeah. Well, I think my family, since they lived about an hour and a half away, my mom, dad, and stepmom, they knew it was an issue, but when I saw them, it was pretty much special occasions. So, one drinks at special occasions.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
they knew I was taking it too far. They were clearly unhappy with the DUI. Um, I think that, looking back, they too now realize how bad it was and probably would have intervened at some point, but, I wasn't ready yet, so it wouldn't have done
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Um, Josh, that poor man, what he had to deal with,
Yeah.
um, despite the fact, of the breakup, a lot of things I said that I regret. were from, the truth serum.
Mm-hmm.
Um, once we got back together, he had to deal with me getting very emotional at times, um, just basically acting like a fool in front of his friends because I'm super drunk, feeling like he had to not have fun himself to take care of me
Yeah.
and to explain away my behavior to other people. Um, we actually had a discussion about this about a month ago, and he's like, yeah, I knew that it was a problem, but I also knew I was going to marry you. So I held on because I knew you were worth it, and I knew that you were still in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it made me cry.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, about to make me cry. That's really beautiful. So when you called your dad at that point, was it somewhat a surprise to them, or had they been kind of hoping that this was going to come at some point?
I think that they were hoping it would come.
Okay.
I don't
So
know
that
if they,
wasn't
yeah,
total surprise.
it was not. And,
Yeah.
based on the behavior they had seen, it wasn't like a shocked Pikachu face. Everybody
Yeah.
kind of knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, my father later said, he's like, that place was going to kill you,
Yeah.
you know, working in that environment. So they weren't very surprised.
Yeah.
I think that they were worried that sobriety wouldn't catch on right away. As every, family member or loved one of an addict,
Yeah.
you never know. You're holding your breath for quite a while. Um, so they were, supportive and hopeful for me. But yeah, definitely not surprised.
Yeah. So you get fired. You have your one last bender. You wake up the next day. You don't drink. So what happens after that?
I look up AA meetings or 12-step program meetings.
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
don't know
You
what
can
I'm,
say what you
okay.
can say whatever you want. It's your
Yeah.
story. So you're not I always say you're not promoting or denying anything. You're just telling your story. And
Well,
if
thank you.
and if a
That's true.
certain 12-step program is a part of that, you can name that if you need to or want to.
Okay. So
So,
yeah, I looked it up. I knew obviously something had to change. Just got fired from my job for getting drunk. Like, you can't really bounce back from that with a party or anything.
yeah.
So I looked up AA meetings near me. And, at this point, I'm lucky that I did not get a big physical withdrawal, which is surprising to me, actually. But, just the normal, like, feeling icky in your body.
Yeah.
And, I don't, not quite the shakes, but just that uneasy feeling in your bones. Um, Plus the nervousness in general. So I packed it up and went to an AA meeting, and it was Saturday night, almost positive Saturday night. It was a speaker meeting. I sat down, totally afraid. Thank goodness it was a smokers meeting because I smoked at that time, and I was essentially chain smoking, like a shaking
Yeah.
drum.
As we all were
I,
in our first
yeah,
meeting.
well, yes, absolutely. That wasn't, abnormal.
Yeah.
Um, I remember that the super tall man like looked over at me. He said, "Hi, you're pretty. So am I." It was Scott. Uh,
Oh gosh, I love it.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Yes,
And I'm
sir.
like, ha, 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 I'm an alcoholic. Like, I didn't know what to say. He's like, well, I'm glad you're here. And as with every newcomer, well, I imagine, I was terrified, but I felt very invited in. The little sayings that we all collect and hang on to seemed very new at the time. That just for today, don't
Yep.
drink.
Yeah.
Blew my mind. I'm like, I only have to worry about now and not forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. One day at a time. I never would have thought like that. I'm a very, very all or nothing person. So, I guess that aided me some in committing to sobriety.
Hmm.
But, after drinking so heavily for years, I really didn't know if I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Now what so Who or what were places or things that helped you in getting sobriety?
Definitely my now husband, boyfriend at the
Hmm.
time. He'd seen the whole train wreck and was helping pick up the pieces, and just being there for me helped. He hadn't really dealt with anybody with addiction before. Um, he wasn't sure the right thing to say, right thing to do, but everything he did was perfect for me.
Yeah.
I just kind of needed someone to hold my hand, tell me it was going to be okay, that they were proud of me I was doing this, and we'll continue to be there. Um, Going to AA was incredibly helpful in the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, just used to be filled a room with alcoholics, that was just like a bar every Saturday night, you know. But now a room filled with alcoholics were people that weren't drinking.
Yeah.
And it was remarkable to physically see people who have gone through what I'm going through at that time. You feel very isolated in everything.
Hmm.
And just to see and hear people knowing you're not alone and that they did it, they got sober,
Yeah.
was remarkably encouraging.
I remember someone from those rooms telling me that I wasn't special, and I was like, "What?" And it was Sharon, and she was like, "Dude, you're not special. Like, you're not the only one who's done any of the things that you've done. All of us have done it. Like, so just like saddle
So true.
up, get over here, open your mouth, and just like start talking. Like,
Yep,
okay, like, and it's
absolutely.
one, yeah, it's one of the, it's such a basic thing, but it's so true. It's just like you aren't special. You have a community around you. That's what that means at that
Yeah,
moment. It's like you have people here. You're not alone. Like it's so good.
exactly.
Yeah.
The straightforwardness, like what she said to you,
Hmm.
really helped in the beginning. I was, of course, very emotional in the beginning, so it kind of helped to hear things straight away, to hear
Yes.
like blunt things like this is what's up,
Yeah.
but you don't have to do it alone.
That is such a great way to put it of like of that we are so emotional at the beginning that we need that like straightforward just boom, here it is. Like don't overthink it, just
Yeah,
this is it. So,
this is it, and this is what you need to do. Like
yeah.
literal steps written down. So that
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. I was able to get a sponsor too fairly quickly. She was my sponsor the entire time. She is, super outgoing, and everybody said look for a sponsor, listen for a sponsor. She came up to me, she's like, you working with anybody? Nope. Want to work with me? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
um so she was always very helpful specifically. And then the friends I made along the way,
Yeah.
you in AA, were
Yeah.
incredibly helpful. And the friends that stuck with me, now I'm sure
Mm.
you realize who's really your friend when
Hmm.
you get sober.
Yeah.
It turns out I had party acquaintances and not close friends as I thought.
Yeah.
Um, very, very few people are still around me today, or, that I contact that I would say I'm good friends with.
Yeah.
Um,
As far as people from before you got sober.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's awkward for them. They're used to hard drinking Allison, and now they feel like they can't do anything in front of me,
Yeah.
or, that they're going to trigger me, which, maybe they would have. Maybe it's a good thing they didn't. Um, but yeah, the ones that stuck with me, really, really important in my life.
Hmm. Absolutely. So then, Allison, so you come to today. Where are you in life right now?
Where am I in life? Somewhere I never thought I would be 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, I am now a wife, been married for 5 years to the love
Hmm.
of my life. I'm a mother, which I specifically remember being drunk at work once saying that if I ever have a kid, it was an accident. And I said that because I didn't think I could stop drinking for a pregnancy.
Yeah.
Um,
There you go.
and that's why I didn't want to have a child. But then, getting sober, being married, I'm like, oh man, that baby fever bit,
Yeah.
you know, and she's the greatest decision of my life.
Yeah.
Um, it was rough being pregnant in a pandemic,
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, talk about like triple isolation, sobriety, pregnancy, and quarantine.
Yeah, I know.
That was rough.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, being her mom is the greatest thing.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I am working where I can write. I'm actually using my English degree, which I never
Mm.
thought I'd be able to. After getting a claims adjuster job in insurance and working my way up, and now I'm a marketing and communication specialist.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, I still look around and I'm like, oh, they're gonna figure out that I don't know what I'm doing.
Amen. I
Um,
think that every day at my
the
job. I'm
imposter
always like, I
syndrome.
love this job so much. I don't want them
Yes,
to figure out I don't know what I'm doing.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Even my new boss, she's cool enough to where I can mention stuff like that to her, and she just said, Allison, trust yourself.
Yeah.
You do know what
Exactly.
you're doing. I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, if you say so. um,
Exactly.
but yeah, it's remarkable. Just obviously life isn't what it used to be. I don't go to concerts on weekdays because that's ridiculous. I don't stay out at all, if I even go out at all.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know, I'm that old lady now where I'm like, 10 o'clock, it's bedtime. Why am I not asleep yet?
Hmm.
You know, back when that's when the party would start, like, blows my mind that my body was ever capable of surviving that time in life. Um, but yeah, when they say your wildest dreams might be going to sleep at 10 o'clock or waking up early to have a cup of coffee or, you know, going to a restaurant for food instead of just drinks,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
looking for children's clothes, going to Target, all these things don't sound wild, but I never thought that I would have this.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I love it.
Amen. And so it sounds to me like that's why you're sober.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can say part of it is for the people I love, but it's for me
Hmm.
because I actually like myself again.
Mm.
Um, I feel like the person right before I got sober, I don't know who that is or was. That
Mm.
doesn't seem like me, but I know it was, and have to remember that, you know,
Yeah.
to keep me where I am today.
Yes. Yeah. I was talking with somebody earlier about you know, the 12 step work and going out and sharing the good news of what's been done in us with others, and how in order to do that we have to remember what we went through, because we have to tell them why we have good news, and that can be difficult, but that now we have the community and the love around us to be able to walk through those things every day. So
Yes, we need to
yeah.
be the people now who, at the very beginning for us, were like, hey, this sucks, but you're here and you're going to get through it because look where I am now.
Yep.
The
it's
experience, strength, and hope.
It's the doing for others what we couldn't do for ourselves because others did for us what we couldn't do for
Yes,
ourselves.
100%.
Amen. Well, Allison, thank you so much for doing this. It was
Yeah,
such a pleasure to
absolutely.
talk with you.
I know. I miss you very much. Thank you for including me in all this.
Absolutely. I miss you too. Well, thank you for sticking around and listening to Allison's story. I hope you enjoyed it as much, as always, as I enjoy interviewing everybody. I don't know how to say it differently, but I just really am loving this project and getting to talk with various addicts and getting to have new people come into my life and gaining new friends, but reconnecting with wonderful people who I have known in my life and are now on this sobriety journey together. So, this week, like I said, we just listened to Allison, and next week we're going to hear from another friend of mine from the groups down in Florida, but my friend Kathara. Kathara is so funny, and I just always had a blast hanging out with her and being with her. So I, again, am just so blessed that I have so many wonderful people who are coming on and contributing their stories. Again, if you would like to tell your story, I would love to talk to you. You can get in touch with me at my website, which is whyareyoussober.org, or you can email me at sam@whyareyoussober.org. If you happen to be questioning stuff, if you are struggling or just need to talk to someone, you can also get in touch with me. You can also find me on social media. I'm out there on Facebook, Instagram. And with that, that's it for today, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And I'm wishing you a whole lot of peace, love, and joy. Bye.